Hello, and welcome to this lesson which will introduce you to sales strategy. After you have finished this lesson, you will be able to, firstly, understand why sales strategy is needed, and secondly, understand how to get your sales strategy right using a tried and tested framework. To begin with, let's look at why organizations need a sales strategy. Firstly, because there is significant room for sales improvement in most organizations. By this, I mean key strategic, operational, and organizational sales issues often go unsolved. Consequently, many opportunities to increase sales efficiency and effectiveness go untapped. Secondly, because using the appropriate sales levers can have a large commercial impact. For example, smart customer targeting and determining the appropriate sales channels to reach your customers. In addition, an optimized sales setup frees up resources for additional value-creating activities, such as business development and relationship building. And thirdly, organizations need a sales strategy to guide often very complex sales activities. Salespeople need to know how their work interlinks with other functions such as marketing and product development. The sales strategy should also guide the right behaviors from the sales managers, such as implementing the right objectives and KPIs, which drive optimal performance. Examples of each of these themes now follow. This slide shows some example quotes from key sales executives and account managers in a Standard & Poor Top 100 organization. They show the sentiment amongst staff that key strategic, operational, and organizational sales issues are going unsolved. For example, the organization is prioritizing big deals over small deals, and staff are not spending enough customer-facing time. What issues are the sales staff facing in your organization? This slide demonstrates that if organizations focus on the right sales levers, such as customer targeting or customer engagement, then they can potentially have a large positive impact on revenues. Notice how some levers have the potential to generate a higher impact than others. Which levers would have the greatest impact in your organization? And this slide highlights just how complex it can be to optimize the sales process, from creating the right products to sell through to how the products are supplied and delivered to end customers. The sales team will need to interlink with several other functions throughout an organization, whilst at the same time striving to execute the overall sales plan and helping to drive the overall direction of the business. In this second part of the lesson, let's turn your attention to getting your sales strategy right, using a tried and tested framework. The slide articulates the framework for creating a winning sales team, from strategy formulation to sales execution and to harnessing the right sales capabilities. From a sales strategy perspective, you need to know what drives success at your customers and target solutions at their specific needs. You need to align the organization's objectives with the sales strategy and aim to drive, shape, and respond to the competitive landscape. For sales planning, it is also good practice to define ambition levels and priorities for the sales team. From a sales execution perspective, there are three main categories of activity. For channel management, balance the costs to serve different routes to market, but strive for a seamless customer experience across channels. For the sales force, know what you want them to do and what not to do, and know the processes which add value and those that do not. Aim to foster a culture of cooperation in the sales team. And for account management, focus on long-term value, not short-term opportunities, and know what your accounts value from you. The third main section of the framework focuses on developing the appropriate sales capabilities. Here, aim to align across business functions, particularly across sales and marketing, and implement and enforce a performance culture that recognizes the differences between people. Continuously upgrade the quality of your Salesforce via training and smart recruitment, and utilize the many sales support tools now available, such as Salesforce.com, to drive efficiency and effectiveness. To test the effectiveness of your current sales strategy, take time to answer the 10 questions shown on the slide, which are derived from the sales framework on the previous slide. The first 3 questions focus on customer segmentation and your channels to market. The next 3 questions focus on your sales coverage model, your sales processes, and the time your sales team spends with customer-facing activities. The remaining questions focus on key account management, having targets for operational and financial KPIs, and actively managing your people pipeline. Each of the subsequent slides in this lesson will offer you a practical, structured way of addressing each of these questions in turn. This slide addresses the first question and shows a way of segmenting your customers based on a mix of current and forward-looking components. The current component reflects current financial performance, such as margin or recent revenues, and the forward component reflects the future value, such as customer growth potential. The aim here is to prioritize the customers you should be focusing on and building sales strategies to cater to the needs of those customers. Sales managers focusing on customers with low revenues and low growth potential may be better utilized on other accounts. The next question from the strategy framework addresses your channel mix, which should ideally be driven by the needs and preferences of your customers. The example on the slide shows the channels customers prefer when buying different banking products. Customers still prefer branches to conduct regular banking transactions, such as paying in checks. But customers are increasingly happy to bank directly, either online or over the phone, for lengthier discussions regarding loans or mortgages. For direct versus indirect channels, you need to ascertain the different requirements of each channel towards its suppliers and establish clear rules for who sells direct and who sells indirect to the end customer. For online versus offline channels, recent research has found that the boundaries between online and offline shopping are blurring, driven by consumer behavior and retailer offerings. This is commonly known as omni-channel marketing. For example, a customer stock checks an item online before purchasing, then visits a high street store to collect the item. The aim here is to create a seamless shopping experience across channels, whilst levering the individual strengths of each channel. This slide addresses the fourth question in the sales strategy framework and shows how to align your customer coverage model with the appropriate customer segmentation. In the example shown, large accounts with high growth potential are covered with dedicated sales and account managers, and smaller accounts are served by pooled groups of sales managers or are self-served via online portals. Following this approach should achieve a more efficient and effective sales approach based on account prioritization and costs to serve. A more scientific approach to account coverage is to determine the Salesforce requirements via a bottom-up or top-down approach. Having too many sales managers drains resources and limits the success of salespeople by oversaturating the market. But too few sales managers risks missing opportunities and failing to grow. With the bottom-up approach to Salesforce sizing, you need to assess necessary sales coverage and depth Sales staff numbers are determined after estimating the number of targeted customers and frequency and duration of interactions. With the top-down approach, you need to calculate the contribution to profits and associated costs with adding each sales staff. You keep adding staff until the total marginal contribution just covers incremental costs, as shown on the chart on the right of the slide. It is best to iterate between both approaches to identify a sensible answer. The fifth question, derived from the sales strategy framework, focuses on maximizing your team's absolute selling time with customers. This is done by cutting back on non-customer-facing activities, such as admin work, or reducing internal bureaucracy, such as bid approval thresholds. The chart on the slide shows the work time split of a typical account manager. Canvass a survey amongst your own sales team to gauge how people are spending their day and how non-selling time can be reduced to maximize direct customer interaction time. The next question from the strategy framework seeks to map the sales process in your organization with the appropriate team. Here, all sales staff should have clear roles and responsibilities to ensure the teams work together effectively. The slide shows an example of the end-to-end sales process in an organization and how teams, roles, and responsibilities can be allocated to each part of the process. The seventh question, derived from the sales strategy framework, concerns the identification of cross-selling opportunities. The idea here is to sell more to existing accounts as opposed to chasing new business. To help with this, you can produce some analysis more commonly known as share of wallet insights or white space analysis. The white space is the gap between what products or services your customer has invested in and the other products or services that your organization can offer. To sell more to your customers, you must find the white spaces or segments with a low share of wallet, like as shown on the slide, and strive to fill them with your product or service. To offer more value to your customers, invest in relationship building to uncover customer pain points and evolving needs. Then aim to offer solutions that fit the needs of your customers. The next question from the strategy framework concerns the definition and tracking of targets and KPIs for all sales managers. These KPIs can relate to productivity, such as revenue, share of wallet, number of customer visits, or volume of repeat business. Or the KPIs can relate to the number of accounts managed, or even customer satisfaction indicators, like Net Promoter Score. Performance against the targets can be tracked regularly through dashboards, like the one shown on the slide. When defining your KPIs, ensure that they are comparable across teams and that there is common understanding amongst all parties involved. Also, prioritize the KPIs by business importance and be prepared to adjust your initial list of KPIs to reflect any changes in business focus. Another way to drive and potentially motivate sales performance is to link compensation to individual performance. The aim here is to design incentive schemes that drive the desired behavior from your sales force. For example, if you want to drive sales in underrepresented customer segments, then design incentives that reward sales managers who help you achieve that goal. The chart on the left of the slide shows how you can increase a variable versus fixed incentive schemes ratio and increase distinct accountability in your sales team. And the chart on the right helps you to rank performance in your sales team. This can help to highlight over- and underachievers and influence bonus payments. The final question derived from the sales strategy framework focus on raising the quality bar of your sales managers. Here you need to actively manage the people pipeline, fill resource gaps, and ensure each sales manager plays in their best position, whether that's in a sales hunter, farmer, or support role. You also need to actively identify any developmental needs and put training and improvement plans in place to raise the quality and caliber of your sales team. This slide shows an example of how you can pull your thinking together in a simple sales strategy plan on a page, which can be useful for directing your sales team or communicating to senior executives. In summary, you have learnt why a sales strategy is needed and understood the main components of a sales framework. Taken together, these will help you to drive the strategy and overall effectiveness of your sales function. Thank you for participating, and see you next time on another exciting business training lesson from Pontema.